thank you all. Thank you so much for doing this. I haven't done a CMO roundtable ever. Casey has been asking me for the last half an hour, what's the agenda? The good part is there is none, right? The agenda is, okay, let me put it this way. I've served the tech community for many years now. And I've spoken to many stakeholders in the system, right? The supply, the end users, the CIOs, and many folks. And to a very large extent, the CMO enables all those conversations. But I've never had the fortune of talking to you directly on a platform like this. So I had requested, Amit, can we have something like this? And all the 7 of you were kind enough to take out time and come today. So thank you so much for this. Right? I hope this is a evening which is memorable. I'm really looking forward to this. I don't have a script. I have a couple of questions which I haven't given to any one of you, but there is a reason for that. I'll start with, and like I want to start with one very important note. This session is about you, about your journey, right? So, when I was a kid, I never imagined I'll do this for a living. I did not even know what an analyst means. I wanted to be a musician. I was a huge Boris Becker fan. I wanted to be a tennis player. Clearly, I am not Becker and I'm not into music the way I wanted it to be. So my first question to all of you is, what did you want to be when you were a kid? I'm sure, or was it that you grew up wanting to be a marketer? Yeah. What were your passions as early childhood? Anindita?
I wanted to be a bus conductor.
You wanted to be a bus conductor?
Yeah, and the funny thing was that, those BTS buses, those red ones, when we used to go, parents never did have a car at that point in time. So we would either go anywhere you travel by bus. Mm-hmm. And there was I don't know if people recall, so the bus conductor would have this little steel or this metal box in which he had these little tickets.
Right.
Okay, and they were all colorful tickets. And I just found that so fascinating. So I said, I want to be a bus conductor and I want to be able to pull out those tickets and give it to people.
Yeah, and people used to keep those tickets as memorabilia. Yes. I remember when we used to go to our grandparents' place in Calcutta,
Bangalore.
I used to keep those tickets. Not only bus, also trams.
Trams in Bangalore, not as much, but Calcutta, Kolkata, yes. Kolkata, yes. But for me, I used to just be fascinated by those little lovely...
Do you regret not being one?
Huh? No, I don't. Absolutely not.
Okay.
Cricketer.
Casey, what about you? Cricketer, huh?
Yeah. I mean, going through. Fortunately, I was always good at sports, anything sports. I always, especially throughout my childhood, I was playing pretty much every sport and I used to excel. And cricket was the closest to my heart. So, I mean, that's what I used to do maximum amount of time in the day.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Kush, what?
But unfortunately, IPL was not invented
back in those days.
And this
not
was
discovered.
Funny, right?
Would you be a good cricketer?
Yeah. So my father actually, I have a story. So, and this is like when IPL started, right? For the first time, my father so he was telling my mother that wish this could have come when this boy was
growing up,
right? For the first time. Otherwise, it's always stop playing post time. Yeah. So that's what I always wanted to be.
What about the rest? Jaggi,
I can share what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a news reader because when I was growing up, I think, I'd actually come back to India then and I didn't grow up in India. So, and then NDTV and all of those sort of channels and brands rather were very popular.
Right.
And I was fascinated by how they would not only bring in those stories, but they would also be able to present it in the most professional manner. And it was something which I was very drawn towards to the point where I had applied to NDTV in my 10th standard when they actually had to, very politely decline saying that, you have to be a graduate to start with. and 10th grader would.
Who hadn't seen the world this week? Pranay Roy opened the world to us. I've had the good fortune of doing one recording at their studio in Delhi.
Wonderful. So that was, I was in awe of it, and I would follow through each of those.
Any favorite anchor that you had?
So I mean, I was just thinking I wouldn't share that, given that, this is a, more of a public forum, but absolutely, it was Nidhi Razdhan. I used to find her, at another level of, articulation, I would say. And of course, Rajdeep Sardesai, everyone else were also very popular at that time. Vikram Chandra, of course, Pranay Roy himself. At that point in time, it was something which I was very drawn towards.
Rajesh also loves cricket a lot. Wonderful.
Nice.
So what about you?
Me, I think my dream every day was changing.
Okay.
So I see a dancer, so I used to go back home and say, I want to be a dancer. So they put me to a dance school. Okay, it didn't take off. Then the next one. So my passion went on. So it was all more towards, I would say, which included my physical energy to go in. So I wanted to be a dancer. Then I wanted to get into athletics. So during my schooling or college, I was very active in sports. So going back to what Casey was saying, it was not one sport. So I was more into basketball player. So I thought I'm going to pursue as a basketball player. That's my passion that I'm going to go ahead. Then after when I started getting into college and all, so it was more of this theatre, getting into announcement, hosting. So I said then little bit of what Arpita was saying. So the news reading part, we said, okay, I'm good at it because I got an opportunity when I was doing my college. One of the ad agency, they came and said, you're a good voice, can you do a voiceover? I said, yeah, this is the profession I'm going to get into. So every time I used to go back and say that this is what is going on. So my parents would say, no, I think you're still not done. Let's see how it goes. Go with the flow. Then I said, let me go with the flow. So that's how it became, because I have a passion for everything that I liked. I wanted to be that.
You know what? That's the beauty of youth. I was just telling this to my colleague today. We are right next to a college. When I go for my morning walk, I can sense the energy. Just being with youngsters, there's this energy around, there's this vibe there, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of being young.
True.
Jaggi, what was it growing up?
For me, I always wanted to be a rocket scientist. I wanted to work in the NASA.
Okay.
I was very good in physics. Okay. I got 99 in the 12th exam. I lost a mark in my practicals, but yeah, so I was very good in science. I just wanted to be a scientist. Even now I try and read, keep myself up to date, whatever. But then suddenly things change, right? So you don't, you fall into the traps of what are other pursuits of material stuff. You become an MBA and then you start working and then things follow one after the other. But so that is a dream. I always I wish my son could become something like that, right? I wish somebody.
So does ISRO's conduit make you proud?
Oh, of course.
You spoke about the dream of.
So I try and
fantastic.
I try and follow there's a website. There's all space launches, right? Whichever is happening across the world,
right?
They get telecast. In fact, I watch the Falcon, whatever the SpaceX stuff. Middle of the night, I used to wake up to want to launch those things. Yeah, but I'm still passionate about that. Somewhere that kid is there. Science is still
nice.
Which is why I think my career also, right? I started off completely non-tech.
Okay.
I was like advertising, worked on Dhara cooking oils and glycodin cough syrup and whatever, right? So, and today, over the last 25, 28 years, you move to tech. Right. It was a conscious thing. I just wanted to be in tech somehow, but even though I started completely non-tech wherever, it could be as non-tech in the non-IT or non-internet era, right? To what it is today, I think, I just love it. So, being part of tech.
Marketing is a science now.
Marketing is a science with so much tech coming. It is. Marketing is no longer an art.
Yeah, absolutely. So, But just back to his science, passion and dream.
So, it is what, certain things have to be, those embers need to burn in your heart, right? So if you don't have those fire burning.
It is just a number. You can still pursue it as a side hobby. Rebecca, what was it for you?
So when I was young, I was always told that I always back answer. I was a rebel child, oldest child of 3 girls.
Okay.
So when I was always told that I argue a lot, somewhere you argue like a lawyer. So
right.
Somewhere in my brain it was embedded that I was going to become a lawyer.
Okay.
And that I'm a good lawyer because I argue really well.
Okay.
So, and I was also very specific that I wanted to go to Analyst. And I think till 10th standard I was very, very particular about this. And then I came to Jyoti Nivas and then life caught up and then it just dropped there. So, So that
Jyoti Nivas killed a budding lawyer, huh?
Totally. So, yes. So I think through I think it was very clear I wanted to be a lawyer.
Lovely.
But, like...
So loss is IT's game.
Yes.
Fantastic. Kush?
So different phases, just like Casey, cricket, always a passion, wanted to, start off as a cricketer. Did manage to, get my hands into the game, flourished really well, but consistency wasn't there. The discipline wasn't there. So I just sort of gave up, on the fly, maybe 15, 16-year-old just gave up. Then came in the urge of getting into the defense forces, the passion of, going and serving our nation on the border, right? And that time maybe the direction wasn't there in terms of how you actually get into defense forces, what kind of exams you sort of take up, because media wasn't really prevalent at those times.
Right.
So the easier option was showbiz, right?
Okay.
So wanted to always become a model actor. So dabbled around with that as well.
Okay.
Did get a significant foothold around that industry. But yeah, realized that it's not that, great. It's very fake as an industry. So I thought maybe professional outfit looks much better than, being any of these. So yeah, here I am as a marketer.
Now, if I had the money, I would put my money on you to be a good model even today.
Oh, of course.
Appreciate that compliment.
You'll rock it even now. Lovely. So, like I said, now I think I'm eased you into what we are here for.
Yep.
I really don't have an agenda. But my question that I want to really ask all of you is, did marketing happen by chance? Was it serendipity? Or it was a planned, calculated decision? Anybody want to take it?
Maybe I can start.
So I'll...
go ahead.
Sure. So again, a very interesting story again. Interesting for me, very personal.
Yeah.
So I started off as a technologist. I was an engineer, by education, and the initial heydays were focusing more on the technology aspects. I was a pre-sales guy much before. But again, marketing happened by chance. I really got inspired by my spouse. She's one of, my close inspirations because she's always been a marketer herself.
Okay.
Johnny, now a salesperson, of course. So she actually, I used to sort of follow her, in her shadows very closely to see, what she exactly does and, how she brings out, the articulation, the customer connect, the customer centricity that she sort of has. So that really fascinated me. And I really realized that, it's always nice to understand technology, but, the business aspects can actually, become the game changer in a way.
Very true.
So the transition sort of happened that the inspiration was my spouse in a way. And the opportunity was given to me, within IBM because I got an internal job posting as a marketer. And ever since, I've never looked back and I've really loved this, function, this profession.
So you owe this to Neha then?
Yeah, absolutely.
You'll be calling her out as your wife.
Absolutely.
I know her as Neha. Wonderful.
Yeah, I want to give it to her. Yeah.
Wonderful. You admitting in public that, we're missing her today. I wish she was part of this, but we'll do it some other time.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Okay,
So, I was a salesperson. Started my career in Dell selling PCs. And when I moved to Akamai, I was a 35th employee at Akamai.
Okay.
Akamai was mostly a back office center at that point.
Right.
So when they started having a go-to-market in India, I remember the CFO then in India, the 40 people team, they said, hey, you seem like a good marketer. So I asked him, was I a bad salesperson? He said, no, you have a good convincing skill because this will be the first marketing role in Akamai for India. So give it a shot. And I think it was a first chance that then, managing director of Akamai India gave me an opportunity. It was an IGP, but there was no other contenders. And I think it's because of him, I still remember him, Raghavendra Punachar. I think I started my career in my 5th year of I'm 21 years in tech. And in my 5th year of working in this world, I started my career in marketing and there was no looking back, right? The minute I came in, I tasted marketing and I was doing field marketing for India, I just knew I was home. Like, this is what I wanted to do.
Very interesting.
For the rest of my life.
Okay, so let me go next.
Yeah.
So for me, marketing as such, so I finished my college, I did my MBA. So with MBA, I think we get a flavor of all the subjects as to what each of the field is.
True.
So I always, that inquisitiveness was with me, that I need to understand everything. So I started my career as a salesperson because I always love networking with people, getting to know people.
Right.
That's what I figured out, that gives me that high and that keeps me going. So with sales, in the beginning of my career, so when I started working with sales, I started off with a technology company because that flair was there that being in tech is where it's going to make you learn, you can give back to the society. That's where we are finding new things. That was in me that, okay, technology is what gives back to the society. So being in a tech company, I started my career with Live Helper and Oracle. So that's where I got a complete gamut of what is this IT tech spaces. And being a seller, always there used to be that, okay, you are a seller, there's a marketing team which gives you the material, they create this campaign. So that I would say, like, that Kira came into me, okay, what is this? They're saying that marketing does that. So I'm the one who is the front ending to the sales. So I need to understand what is it. So there were many other flavors. When I say it's marketing, it's just not the field goal. So it gave me that, okay, to become a marketer, there were a lot of things that was coming into me. There's to say research. Okay, there's a market research material that's come in. There's a competitive intelligence that's come in. So as a seller, you need to look into all that. And then marketing gives you that flavor as to where you have to get into. I said, okay, I will get to the marketing because that, for me, I would say that seemed very glamorous role for me. Okay, you get that creativity into you. You give what is needed. You make other people look good. So you give what is needed on a platter to them, and that's where your creativity comes into you to sell to them. You network with people. In one role, you can play multifaceted. So for that, I said to get into that role, I need to prep myself. Okay, sales is done. Now let me understand what are the other levers that makes me to get there. So I did my homework, but this thing started when I started with sales. Okay, marketing for me, that's the role I have to get in because it's very fancy. Because outside, I think everybody feels it's a very fancy, glamorous role. Yeah. So that's where I did my homework and started getting.
You wanted to be an enabler.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Actually, fancy being the keyword. Very glamorous.
Yeah. When you say it's supposed to be, is it not?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's glamorous. It looks, it's a very glamorous role from outside, but it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of back-end, back-breaking. It's a thankless job. But every profession says that.
I to say, being in a glamorous role does not necessarily mean it does not involve a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It could be a glamorous role, but a very, very hard role as well.
Yeah. So it's, I would give it to all the marketers. We make it look very easy. So everybody wants to get into that because there's a lot of heavy lifting that happens, but when it comes as an output, it looks like nice, clean, and it's good.
Tell me something, because what I see in commonality, and that's what I've seen also, to be a good marketer, doesn't necessarily be the case that you have to be a good salesperson as well. Because the journey always begins with sales. You know, because when you are in sales, you know what's actually happening in the street. The street cred is what we call it. Does it help? I mean, just asking. Because I'm not
I have a story over there, and I'd like to
I also have stories. One story, second story.
Okay. And the reason is, I joined marketing and then shifted to sales. Okay, so it's not the sales to marketing. Right. It was marketing to sales. And the story is that when you're a marketer, the sales guys will say, "Tere ko kya pata?"
Exactly.
Tere ko kuch nahi malum. I am the one who's standing in front of the customer. I am the one who's selling. Okay, and then you're like, okay. No, and maybe true, because see, I have complete respect for sales because the kind of work that they do is very difficult and very different from what we do. So I kept thinking, I said, yeah, I've done marketing all along. There is this muscle that every marketer, in my personal opinion, needs to gain, and that is to be able to stand in front of the customer and talk to the customer about the product or the service or whatever that you are selling. Because at the end of it, once you are in front of that customer, and customers today can sometimes be ruthless, sometimes be very, very intelligent, and can be very, very, can push you to think out of your box. And that skill is something that unless you're standing there, you will never gain. So I think for me, it was, you've done marketing, you've learned the process, you've learned the, execution. Obviously, it's glamorous in terms of when I learned marketing, everything was advertising. That was the output that you would see, advertising. And that was the glamour part of it. But it's not always advertising. There's a huge amount of back-end work that you do. Right. And especially B2C and B2B was again very different. You know. So when you look at both the angles and you worked on both these aspects, that's when I said, no, I want to get into sales. So I actually sold. And I think today, thanks to that experience, thanks to being able to get pushed around and being asked to think out of the box and being really rugdofied really on the streets of trying to sell, you gain a muscle of being a lot more empathetic to what you need to be as a marketer to be able to communicate. The art of storytelling is something that a marketer should, not just a marketer, I think everybody in today's world, but that's something that you should gain. And I think that gave me that muscle. You know, so today it's a beautiful combination of having done marketing, having done sales, and I think a lot of the sales guys, the perspective that they give me, you appreciate that a lot more. And therefore you just be able to synthesize everything.
Sure.
So that's the part I came from.
Lovely, lovely. You had a story.
Yeah, so my story is as follows. So, like what Ani said, right? I fell for advertising. That is what I consumed, right? I mean, I was just like in awe because I used to watch the television breaks more than the program. At a point in time, you just love to watch television. You knew what products are getting launched. You just loved it. I mean, those breaks were what you look forward to, right? So that, I'd always thought that there is some magic that's going behind creating advertising, and that really excited me. So when you passed marketing, you passed MBA and you said, okay, what is the stream you want to choose? I was very clear, I want to get into advertising. While I joined a sales job, I joined selling biscuits in Orissa and Bihar, and I had the most horrendous time in my life. I almost fell sick because I was traveling in buses. I had money in my pocket, but there were no rooms to stay. Water, I mean, that I'm talking point in time, there was no mineral water. Drinking water looked like tea. That kind of thing. I had to sleep in khatiyas. I've done that rural sales. I've done biscuit selling to the most, I would say, the backward communities. Like you're trying to sell a pack of milk biscuits, 1 rupee. People didn't even have 1 rupee. 1 rupee was a luxury for them. So that's the kind of...
1 rupee is huge at that time.
Right? And I've seen... Okay, so that is the kind of rounding that happened. But it was absolutely, I would say, an experience. I can't have not done it. It couldn't have been read in books, right? But heart of heart, I wanted to be in advertising. And when I got this advertising role, I mean, the job, it was like my dream. It was like my Google coming true. I mean, if that was the most aspirational job, right? I just dropped everything I wanted to get out of it. So anyways, great time. So to the point of being, again, so a bit of sales, FMCG, hardcore sales, doing in the space of advertising, which again, completely B2C. We were doing market research, for example, something called DAR, like day after recall. For example, ad comes today. That time there was not too much science, right? So ad comes today. You go to housewives and ask, did you see the ad? Do you recollect anything? What did you remember? What messaging? And that was no technology. I had to go door to door.
ECT, exhibition cut through and brand cut through.
And I was in Ahmedabad. I used to go, I didn't know the language. I was fresh, like out of the college, right? I used to go to Baroda or whatever, Surat, knock doors, and they used to throw me out, and all sorts of things happened. But then you have to do it. I mean, I'm saying there is no, as you said, right? No shortcuts to having customer connect. So if we didn't speak to those people, formally, informally, you never had that, right? So that is the thing. The other interesting part of the story was, so the head of the organization, I used to work in Mudra, right? Now it's called DDB. Mr. A.G. Krishnamurthy, who is the founder and like a legend in his own ways, he used to tell us one thing: watch a Hindi movie every Friday, because the Hindi movie typically encapsulates what are the trends, so what is the speak, who is wearing what language are kids speaking, what language are buzuर्gs speaking. And if you were to take a slice of time, right? If you take 60s movies, Rajesh Khanna used to wear a certain kind of clothes, whatever, bell bottoms, blah blah. Cut to 80s, a different kind of Amitabh Bachchan. Cut to 90s, something else. 2000s, Shah Rukh Khan and people wearing different stuff. Same people, you look back and say, shit, was he wearing something else? How did he look so cool in that attire, right? So it was like, and the kind of language. For example, the kids, the way kids speak, hey, this is me, this is bae, bro, yo, what all. That language will not come if you don't spend time. So therefore, if you don't spend time, I'm saying, I'm maybe generalizing and oversimplifying this whole thing, but it is about how do you make connects with customers. Again, points here like how do we, does sales is the only way to give it? maybe not all marketers will have a chance to be in sales. But then would that stop you from being a customer-oriented guy? Would it stop you from spending time with them? You have to find ways.
Yeah.
If you're smart enough, again, the other thing that I always thought was customer jo hum bolte na, a B2B customer is like one animal with two tails, one horn and one. He's like human like us. He buys things, he sees things, he enjoys the same movies, same ads, same whatever. Likewise, a B2C, but it's primarily the right. So therefore, storytelling, how do I tell? What is it I want to tell? And that is where I think the collective knowledge of your education, collective knowledge of trying to understand customers, the way you connect dots. And as marketers, I think we are like chefs, right? We've got a certain ingredients. So there's salt, masala, blah, 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 blah. And I can dish out Chinese, I can dish out Thai, I can do idli, whatever. I can do whatever. And likewise, all of us have certain ingredients. We know customer inputs, we know market research, we know our products and whatever stuff we have. We know the marketplace, we know competition. And all of us have moved industries, but we have seen that we have been successful because we've tried to understand customers in that flavor, right? I've done software, I've done hardware, I've done services, I've done probably more than anybody else in terms of sheer categories, right? But then how do I make sure that the knack of knowing customer insights, what is that should look for, and those things will come out of experience. But I'm saying we cannot be closed. Therefore, the point I'm trying to make is, we have to be open. You have to make the effort. Customers not come and tell you what they want. It is, if you are in sales, absolutely great advantage because you've done that rigor of grinding your teeth in front of customers. That is a great, valuable experience. But if you don't get the chance, try and do other ways. Try and spend time with them. Spend informal conversations. Read. Shadow work sales guy. Do multiple things, right?
I was listening to what Anindita was telling us. You just said, right, your sales counterpart saying, "Tujhe ya pata," you're for marketing. My question is, what we've always seen is sales and marketing being at loggerheads. Is it actually true even now?
No.
It values the respect has changed phenomenally.
I think
it used to be like this.
Correct.
It used to be like this.
Yeah.
But I think especially in the B2B, right? B2B marketers, and I think, first of all, these are marketing and sales. They are the same side of the coin. They're not even two different sides of the coin, right? It is, and Ani talked about, the point which you just raised again, right? This has been a perpetual challenge 5 years back, right? Or maybe I can say, I have seen this in all 8-9 organizations I've worked with. The first and the foremost thing which I started, I made sure that I need to crack as a marketing person or as a marketing leader is to make sure that get the alignment with the sales, get the sales on your side, not by anything else, but by making them, one, they need help. They are busy in their transactional life. They need to, the moment they realize that, okay, there is somebody who's, having my back and will help me to whatever length to make sure that, okay, one is going to help me with my funnel. And I'm sorry if I'm getting into transactions, but I'm just saying is going to help
make
me,
them successful.
Articulate, ultimately make them successful.
Yeah.
I think that is something which as a marketer, at least personally, I have learned it the hard way because that's exactly what I've been trying to do through and through. Now, the other point is, you said sales and, you need to know sales and be, to become a better marketer. See, all of us have a very different journeys, right? Being a customer-centric, this is not only true for sales, right? It has to be, every function has to be customer-centric, right? For example, the company which I work for, it's all about being customer-centric. The customer obsession is right in the DNA, right? So as a marketer, whether you have done sales or not done sales, if you have been, one is like Jaggi said, you need to have that intriguing mind that, you need to learn more, you need to go out more. And as a marketer, we need to be out there, right? And there are so many opportunities. We do, how many events we do in a year, right? These are customer events. That's a fantastic place for us to go and interact. If you as a marketer, you want to do it.
Correct.
Right? So it is all in the mind. And that line which we as marketers, and this is not we, but as a marketer, as a community, we either create that kind of a line or we break away, and that's when the real marketing really comes out. Because the fact of the matter is, today, if you look at, cut to today, right? Sales, what does the business need? Business need you to, where the next set of growth is going to come in. And the fact of the matter is, and this is something which I've been a huge proponent of, marketing has to lead the growth agenda, because we are like you said, we are the chef of the organization, which has got all the ingredients with us, whether it's about helping the business lead the growth, lead the growth agenda, from where the next set of growth is going to come in, right? Sales will not have so much time to, think about the next quarter. They are only busy in this month and the quarter, right? So marketing, gets that opportunity, and it's up to us whether we want to bring that out. That's number one. Number two, the whole culture building of the organization. We are the only, function which really get an opportunity to work with the HR, the finance, cross functions across the board, and we have, and that's how we need to see it. It's not just about building a brand. All of that is something which is a BAU. But as marketing leaders, I'm sure that's exactly what all of us have started, doing more than just the usual marketing. Because, brand building, the biggest way of brand building, especially in B2B, is when your employees start talking about you. It's not, as B2B brands, we cannot go and advertise the way B2C can, right? Because it's not going to work. Right? So I'm saying and today as B2B marketers, I very strongly feel we are at a juncture, at a place where the business is looking at us. That's also started happening because the CEO of the organization also started looking at marketing not as a support function, but as a very front, strategic function, and a function which has to be right in front of the client.
My question to, again,
I would like to share something. Please. I hope.
Please. No, absolutely.
Basically, I think just alluding to your earlier question about, why and how we chose to go into marketing, and for my personal journey. The way I had gone into it, and the reason I say it is it's correlated to the post question which you had, right, about sales being at loggerheads with marketing. So this was the PC era, right, which was where hardware was very high up. It was leading client server virtualization and the likes. The tech industry was very big into that. And I was at that time working for Hewlett Packard in Sydney, selling personal systems, a part of personal systems group as an account manager. So I was selling PCs. And I remember that, just living by the quarter, having to prove, where I'm at in my numbers, whatever forecast calls, etc., is something which I wasn't getting too kicked up about. Right? Okay. And that's when I saw this cool bunch of people with the laptops and, who knew exactly what is the latest specs, the speeds and feeds as we used to call it. And they were right there, sharing their knowledge to the sales group, enabling all of us about everything great about the next upcoming laptop, right? And I suddenly got very curious about, who are these people, only to realize that they were product marketers, And that is the way I figured that, there is this other function and a domain which is also heavy on tech, but at the same time very marketing, which was sort of my first step into even trying it out, right?
Got it.
But the advantage, of course, was because I had started off as a salesperson as an account manager. I don't have the neutral or view of how it would have been otherwise, because it automatically had been ingrained in my very early experience. But coming back to what Casey was sharing, I thought it was very related to exactly where we all are at. Right now, sales and marketing are a common function. We are integrated to the core. In fact, to the point where we all understand exactly where sales are at. And I love the fact that he shared that, we're more the strategic partner because we are actually being the visionaries on that table, because we're able to think ahead, we're able to look ahead, we're able to really give them that insight which otherwise isn't easily available to them.
Right.
And therefore, I think it's a very different era right now, because of which we have come to this point.
Sure.
But yeah, that's sort of where I would resonate completely with what Casey said. The other thing is the flair for tech. I think if you're in the tech industry, it doesn't matter which industry you've come from and how you've jumped your career across industries. It is important to also understand and speak tech, because somewhere if you don't end up really understanding what you're solutioning and what is that primary messaging at the core for which you're marketing, if you're not able to do that and you're not able to have a continuous conversation with the customer, as I really agree completely here, that we've got so many opportunities to meet with our customers and ecosystem alike. And if we're not able to have a very long, productive conversation with the person who is consuming our solutions, I would say we fall short right there. Right? So therefore, that level of enablement and understanding and deeper interest, which is beyond work, it has to be something you get really interested and tuned into, so that you're able to have that conversation at length, which is meaningful and is also valuable to the person opposite who is consuming your technology. So those were a couple of things I thought.
Wonderful. So my next two questions. One probably will make you happy. The other one will probably make you think. First question is, what is that one thing that you love about your job? And then many things, right? You may also come up with saying nothing, but then that'll be a surprise. But so what's that one thing as a marketeer, right, you just love about that in your role? What is that one thing that fascinates you, that keeps you going on a daily basis?
So I can take that. So I mean, in what I do, on a day-to-day basis, right? So I actually start with a completely, clean canvas, right? So it gives me the complete leverage to sort of bring in my, creative juices out, right, in a way. So it actually keeps me going, brings in innovation to the way I actually sort of think on my day-to-day basis. How do I actually address different segments? How do I address different target personas and so on and so forth? And how do I actually bring in the growth, like he actually sort of mentioned? And creating a disruption and the growth hacking concepts is something that I really, look forward to in my day-to-day, right? So like I said, a blank canvas on an everyday basis, strategizing, executing at the level of T is something that I really enjoy about what I do.
Good point, actually, because you're in a role which allows you to think.
Yes.
There are certain roles which don't allow you to do so.
Yeah.
You're typecast and straitjacketed. Anything else that?
I would think a combination of the right and the left brain, coming to Jaggi's interest in science and again how the arts is meeting the science. I think the right brain is clearly where the creative element is at play, but you also have to use the logical side of your brain where you're actually using data to bring it together, right? So I think that whole amalgamation or combination of really applying data sciences at its best, and then at the same time also bringing out the creative elements in every campaign or engagement that we plan towards. I find that very invigorating. So that would probably be my one liner there.
Okay.
Can I? Go ahead.
Okay. So for us, as a marketer, so I consider for any organization, we should be like a trusted advisor. So what is the new technology or the emerging trends that's coming in? What could be, going back to the point that was raised, like which are the, as a marketer now, we help the business as to which are the new revenue streams which we can help them. So for me is to understand and say, okay, this is a new trend or a new revenue stream that's coming. Now putting up what are the new innovations, the creative way that we can go to market, and that will help the business and indirectly help the organization. So that keeps me thinking and understanding, okay, now what next, what we can do.
Okay. You want to add, Casey?
For me, it's the number, right? What keeps me really interested in what I'm doing and keeps the juices, kicking in is there is a number which I'm supposed to contribute from a marketing perspective. How can me or my team are going to take that number to a different level, right? So for example, today, very clearly, because of the nature of the work which we are in now, so much of science and so much of art. We need to now bring it together. It will get difficult if you start looking at metrics at every level, right? So one metric which keeps me my energy flows, flowing in really, really well, and I'm excited about it every day. Is there is a 20% marketing contribution, and this is like net new, by the way, not the progression ones,
not the influence ones.
Yeah, the influence ones. A net new 20% contribution. How can I take it to 30% by the end of the financial year, right? Which is March.
So keeping this objective
very clear, right? So now that's something which I know, which my entire team at the beginning of the year, they felt that no, this is not achievable. You're already crossed that. And now there's another, challenge which was thrown in that, now you've already crossed 20%. Now can you take it to 30%? Now that's all of the work which we're doing. Ultimately, it is culminating to that number, because that is when business is also going to, turn around and say, yes, this is making sense. You guys are adding value. At least personally for me, that is the one thing that works for you. That works for me.
Yeah, we all have our own.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, like go.
No, you should go, please.
I think it's a culmination of all, really, because everyone has their nuances that it adds up to. If you ask me to put it in something, I think I'm the custodian of the experience. The fact that I can craft that experience, be it whichever brand, be it whichever customer, be it whichever industry. And that experience is a culmination of a number that we have to deliver. That experience is a culmination of the storytelling that you have to tell. The experience is understanding of the technology that you're talking to. It is an experience. It is a culmination of everything. So I am that custodian, and I am shaping and crafting that. And that is something that just gives me huge amount. Absolutely.
I think for me as a marketer, I think it's a very fundamental level we create. I think when I say create, we have the opportunity to really offer to either to the customer or to the organization or to whoever the stakeholders are, something which is very, I would say, different. I mean, that's what we marketers. I mean, at some level, we are managing the creative part of it, but at the same time, creating some value that has not been done. It's not a product. It's not a software code. It is not a biscuit or a whatever.
It's not tangible.
So, therefore, as marketeers, I think the challenge, and I worked in companies and roles which were, other companies which were not market leaders and market leaders, right? And the challenge always was, how do I create something new every day? What is it that we want to offer to the customers, stakeholders? I think that is a real challenge, right? As marketers, and we enjoy and thrive in creating something new. And that's what gives us satisfaction. While obviously, I think we will have metrics driving us. Like every company, all of us have gone through this whole cycle of completely being basic levels to very, very, you can nitpick on every number and everything. And that happens how deep you want to get into. But the net output, what we're measuring, but I think finally we're creating something absolutely magical for the customers, for the stakeholders, for the company. And again, B2C, B2B, I would not want to call ourselves any less creative. In spite of being all B2B, more creative because the challenges are very, very different.
Yes.
We have to figure out things without even going out.
Limited options.
Our challenges are way, way different.
Yeah.
I think Rebecca has.
So I think for me, I agree with her. For me, it's impact. So I don't mean impact in the overall business growth, but also impact on how the voice of the customer changes, right? Like you are nobody. You went ahead first, so that when your rep actually calls later and say, I'm calling from XYZ company, they know you before that. You wait way ahead in that market and you created an impact. So for me, impact is not just the impact I created by what percentage of contribution of the revenue I brought in, which is very, very important, but how did I create impact in every other aspect? Because I went ahead before the market and created it and made this business easier. So I'm a very numbers person, right? Like down to KPI, I measure everything. I'm B2B marketer to the core, like ROI is in my veins. So for me, everything is like, I will show you how I'm bringing impact and how I'm measuring that. So that is what I thrive, and to be able to do that from a B2B side. And that impact that I can create from a nobody in a company, even if it's $1 billion company setting up shop in India first, from a nobody to a somebody, whatever the revenue they generated in so many years I feel is the impact that we are.
Wonderful. But okay, so I'm hearing a lot of good things. What is that one thing you don't like about your role? There has to be something, right? And who will take a lead on this?
Yeah, Kush has been taking lead.
I have a big list of things that I don't like in my role. There must be something that you... Okay, two ways of answering this. One thing you just don't like in your role. B, one thing you wish changes in your role. But I would rather focus on the first part, and then we'll come to the second.
I can go first if you want.
Please.
Over to you.
Okay. I think it's not about liking, but I think it's the relentlessness of just constantly being ahead of the game. Because you, as marketers, the single job that we have is we have to be future thinking forward. It's never that, because you're leading the change. Therefore, that relentlessness and that agility that you have sometimes can be very exhausting.
Beautiful.
I think.
Right. Very well.
Sometimes it's
very honest, actually.
Yeah.
It takes courage to give the first answer to a question like this.
And I can be very brutally honest on what I dislike is I think we always become the first person if something is not
the scapegoat.
I'm happy to say that happens, that if it's great...
Today's your chance to admit it.
I'm happy to admit it. If it's great, sales great job. If it didn't work, marketing bad job. I mean, I'm happy to say that it still exists in
Well, I think for me personally, I think somewhere the creativity is rather getting slightly limited options to really be more creative, because I think somewhere the data and analytics and the target-driven approach makes it a little two-dimensional in nature, which is why sometimes that is where I would have loved to have a canvas where we could just paint ahead and really bring out all the possible colors and vibrancy that should emerge out of it. But that's where I think it's also our responsibility to keep that canvas in check so that it's within the frame of what needs to be delivered. But sometimes that is something I do struggle a little bit with. And another thing which Anindita was also sharing earlier was to always be in it to win it and continuously reinvent yourselves and ensure that every messaging and everything is always sharper than the immediate competition and beyond. Because now technology, all the lines have blurred, right? So we are all co-appetitors. And that is something where, again, it's extremely relentless, very dynamic, and to really ensure that we're all right up there, abreast with everything, ahead of everybody else, is something which also sometimes becomes quite interesting and challenging.
Right.
I think businesses go overboard with measuring tangibles, right? So what about the intangibles? I think marketing actually is a provider of intangible, measurements as well, which often businesses sort of ignore, right? The perception that marketing creates, right, in the market, right? So that's something which businesses don't really account for. So often they are so infused into, what was the growth, what were the numbers, what was the impact overall from a data standpoint. I think marketers, we should, come forward and, talk more from an intangible standpoint as well as to, what we've actually created from a perception standpoint. I think that's one thing which we need to change as a mindset, from a business stakeholder standpoint.
Okay.
It's just not the numbers, it's also the intangibles that marketing, brings to the table.
Sure.
I have two things which I not necessarily like, but dislike, whatever. One is, I think we, in this whole pursuit of being far more data driven, we're losing creativity somewhere. Creativity gets compromised. So we do the same stuff again and again.
True.
We take the safe paths. We don't experiment enough. If you do the same stuff, obviously you get the same results. Safe bets will give you moderate results, right? So somewhere I think it is some ways stifling this whole creative process. Right? We should be far more taking more chances, taking more willing to fail, willing to do stuff which is differently. So that is the first thing overall I think is one thing. The second thing I probably also see as I'm sure all of you guys have seen, right? So the newer generation of marketers lack the rigor. I mean, they just think that, they just come into the roles and a lot of things will just happen on their own and, suddenly magic is happening and I'm trying to do stuff.
Most of us will start crying right now.
Exactly. Right. So that, I think the rigor is missing. I think I wish one thing is to, learn, do case studies in these schools and think that, everything is happening, but the reality is, very, very different. I wish people spend more time in marketplaces, spend more time, whatever business they could be, marketing, B2B, B2C, selling cola, selling biscuits, selling software, hardware, whatever, right? That rigor, people want quick results, instant gratification, quick reels, whatever, right? The reels generation is not doing enough rigor. So,
so okay, my next question is, somebody spoke about B2B marketing and B2C world. B2C world clearly is something that we can relate to. You spoke about, I may not be a B2C marketer, but I understand what biscuit is. I know what Coke is, but I may not know what cloud computing is.
So I'll give you an example. I mean, this is again my personal. So when I joined Sun Microsystems, I had not seen the insides of a server ever in my life. Absolutely. I didn't even know what a server is or what andar kya hai. Then I said, no, this is not happening. So I spoke to a few people. I said, boss, pull back and figure out what it is. Okay. Then I said, okay, let me apply the basic fundamentals of marketing. This is the product. Okay, this is where we are. This is the set of people who buy this. This is a competition. 4 P's, very broadly put 4 P's. Ye price hai, why they buy me, why they don't buy me. This is the competition. This is how they buy. This is, if they don't buy, their life is going to change. If they buy, how our life is going to change. So basically those fundamentals, right? Then look back and say, okay, fine. This is all making sense now. So that again, I'm simplifying it, but I'm saying if that is the fundamental of as marketer, if you look at any product, tomorrow it could be tires, tomorrow it could be rocket engines or chappal, right? Anything. If you were to apply these fundamentals, saying product, who is my product, what is my product, who are the competition, who is buying it, why are they not buying it? Simple stuff, right? If we apply that to any of these things, I think we could be doing that. We could be doing that far better. Now, the problem is, again, I think we are collectively, and I always say this, pardon me if you don't disagree, but I think as B2B marketers, we somehow put blinds in front of saying that I will not be creative.
Yes.
So therefore, what happens is, B2C guys have far more liberties and they can do phenomenal stuff. B2B nahi karna. I mean, I think that this is what my life is. This is what our boundaries and guarded rail fences, right? But I always believe, end customer to customer hai yaar. The same customer buys drinks, coffee, tea, chai, biscuit, also buys servers. And he's the guy who will also get excited if I do a good Insta reel about a server, which is nobody's done.
Agreed.
Right? Agreed. And we did this. And in Sun, we put our Sun logo on a plane. Air Deccan plane. We did Java fashion parties. We did the 10-year Java as a fashion party in Leela. When people came. I mean, otherwise what would happen? चलो यार Sun एक event करो Java पे, चलो Java पे हम लोग बड़ा poster बनाएंगे, एक tech conference करेंगे, लोग भाषण देंगे, a lot more tech knowledge will happen. As how do you do creative things, right? And we did this Sun में किया था हम लोग in Love Story 2050 movie में in movie placement. Priyanka Chopra and Arvind Baweja. The movie is all futuristic, part futurist, past whatever, and so wherever there could be some computer screens coming up, there was a Sun logo happening, Java logo, something like that. Which we only could find. I mean, unfortunately the movie bombed.
Illusion post that.
Sorry, not do well. But it was for other reasons, not because of us, but there were, and I used to, and we were, and I remember we were the only people.
But I must say that it was ahead of time.
Very ahead. And get to this.
I'm saying it didn't cost us much. Right? It was some, not the kind, it was very digestible number, and we did some press conference, Harman Baweja, blah, blah, kuch kiya. I'm saying, did it stop us from saying, okay, no, we are a server company, we will only do pamphlets and boring conferences? Or can we place and look for opportunities that can push your limits and try to... So therefore I'm saying, how do we ensure that we are creative? How do we then break these shackles or mental shackles saying, okay, no, I'm a B2B guy, I can be what I could be?
Yeah.
How do you pull in the really bright minds into your world of B2B marketing?
But I'll tell you one thing, and I may differ from that statement a little bit, and I think fundamentally boils down to all of us have gone through this. The democratization of technology, thanks to that, in whatever shape and form, be it whichever industry, whichever B2C or B2B, thanks to that, today, everybody is a creator.
Yeah.
Everybody
yeah.
is a creator. And I must say that it is up to us to take and be curious enough to become what we are. So, therefore, the brightest minds, there are a lot of them who will still want to do an FMCG, and that's their calling. But there are equally bright minds who don't want to do that and are doing startups and actually struggling to even raise funding. So you have two spectrums, and I think we should accept the fact that today, thanks to technology and to a lot of other things in terms of exposure.
I like the way Jaggi put it. So what I meant was, for instance, when you talk about B2B marketing, this view that this is a straight-jacketed, dull job, it not
it's
necessarily
not.
is the
It's
case.
not.
It is not at all.
How you do it.
Again, I have to just say this. It was always up to the marketers to make it what it was then, and how it has evolved, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, where it is today. Right. So, for example, you were talking about building teams, right? I have, in Airtel business, I have built most of my guys or girls, they have not been a marketer. They were in sales, they were in product, they were in engineering side. They wanted to try marketing, and they got in. Right, so it's not really that the best of the best marketers are going to come from. It's a calling at the end of the day, and also how we are really mentoring these guys, working with them. It's not that all the new guys of this division are bad. I mean, there are some really, so many of them bright guys who were there. It's again the kind of culture. So today's kids, they don't just go by the brand. It's also about what kind of a culture you have. Because of the information overload, because of every person is a creator, there is so much of information which is out there. You don't really have to, the culture of your organization is already out there for people to see and observe and accordingly decide if they go.
I also want to extend another part to the conversation, and I know you didn't cover it per se, but I find it relevant. Is also the remote or tier 2 cities of India, the talent, because of democratization of technology. We also have access to great talent who aren't from the traditional B
tier 1 B
schools or tier 1 B schools, but they're great talent. And now we also have opportunities to be able to really hire some of them who have, frankly, the most creative minds. They come from probably the most remotest of cities which you wouldn't have perhaps heard of. But the work they bring in and the value they bring into the organization is unparalleled.
And it adds a fresh perspective also.
And they're hungry. They are so hungry to work.
Passionate towards.
So
they have a point to prove to themselves.
To themselves and the value they bring and the commitment they bring to the points that we were making, in terms of sometimes instant gratification. These are some of these values which are very inherent in them.
Right.
And they don't come from that entitlement perspective.
तुम बड़े शहर, हम तो छोटे शहर वाले हैं.
अच्छा, हम भी छोटे शहर वाले ही.
Tell me one thing, because your list of marketers who delve in technology. So today's world, you cannot stay far away from GenAI. Everybody seems to talk about it. You probably have one company or the other talking about GenAI. I mean, so my point is, do you see this as a virtue? Or do you see, because I'm just borrowing from some of the thoughts that you just shared with me, is, well, I've used GenAI platforms in some form or the other. At times I feel, am I getting too dependent on it too? At times, it also leads to a stuntness in terms of creativity. How do you see GenAI as a marketer?
It's about... sorry.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yes, so it's also... I just wanted to take a step back, right? It's about breaking the innovation silos, as we call it, right? Because we've seen different eras. We've seen, as I was saying earlier, the PC era, then you came to the cloud era, and now it's the AI era, of which GenAI is a fundamental piece. And I just want to start with the fact that now it's become such a buzzword while it's already been there 2 decades. Forget about many decades longer, right? We all studied AI.
It's more democratized now. It's with everyone.
It's accessible.
It is democratized. But it is very, how those, sorry, I'll now get into the technical jargon of it.
Please do.
How those AI workloads are being applied and how are they being deployed and managed and secured, it really is getting to that level. So we can all talk Gen AI, but if we don't know how to even run it at the fundamental core of it and be able to really extend it beyond just the app which was created for building on it, to me, as tech companies and tech part of that community, we are already providing the solution to that. So I'm saying it's another era which will slowly and steadily assimilate and will grow. But coming to our dependency on it, I think that is something which we should absolutely leverage, because everyone has an idea. They want a starting point. So it's always good to start somewhere, leverage that tool to bring us to that platform, and after that you can build on your own.
But does it not stop you from thinking at times? Because all you need in a prompt is write in a few sentences.
But you are writing the prompt, no? The human is writing the prompt.
And that it helps you envisage so much that you probably wouldn't have done it at the first place.
But it's efficiency, no? So I think Gen AI will bring in a lot of efficiency into the system, especially when it comes
not killing the creativity?
Absolutely not.
No.
So in my opinion,
it's going to be a support system. Like, for example, there's a lot of AI tools. Like, just going back to the day-to-day thing. Like, when the lead comes in, you have to score them. Initially, what it used to happen, now if you enable an AI tool, it does the scoring based on the analytics of the past behavior of the customer. So the output of that, it is pretty good. It also gives you...
I know the efficacy, I know the benefits.
So that way, it comes as supporting.
Yeah. You're talking about the dependency.
Does that make you dull at times?
No, it just supports.
It helps you. It provides you a starting point, clearly. Okay, and then you build on top of that. I think it just is more productive.
It can't be independent on its own, so it does need our.
So you're unanimous. It's all good.
I don't know.
In general, I want devil's advocate here.
That's debatable.
That's sorry, Jaggi. You were saying something.
No,
I'll go after you.
Just to reiterate that we have no choice, right? This is not something that I will say that I will not use GenAI. So it is a time in our lives. Technologies rarely happen that have this kind of impact. Last time it happened was when the cloud came in, and uske baad all technologies were incremental changes here and there. I think this is the second wave of technology which is going to change the way we live, eat, consume, buy, blah blah, everything, right? So pretty much everything will change. So and the way I see this is, while a lot of stuff is happening around LLMs and multiple things in terms of building stuff, and tools at the most simplistic level, Bard and ChatGPT giving you answers. At that level, to other major things happening. Marketing will definitely get impacted, and I see already in terms of the content bit. Already we are seeing that certain things, efficiencies, fast, quick. And if I want to write if I want to write a mailer to invite CEOs for a dinner, which used to take me at least a day and a half for somebody to think, write, blah blah. I can now get it in few seconds with like maybe 3 edits. That's how fast it is. You need to do whatever, right? So therefore, marketing will definitely impact. So how do we then therefore brace ourselves for this impact? First thing, obviously, embrace it and see what can best happen to you. Get the right skills as marketers. I think again, all of us have been in the industry much longer, and we've seen many things happening. We will have to learn, or rather, I would say, we will have to know how to use these things. When I say how to use these things, I'm not saying necessarily like what apps, but I'm saying we will have to be willing to embrace these technologies. So if you see the competencies in the team, right, will change. You will have a bit of tech guys creeping in. So we used to have initially creative guys, part of marketing guys, content writers, blah, blah. And now you will require people with tech skills coming in, people who write prompt engineering, people who can do SQL queries, people who are able to join big data, blah, blah, blah. So therefore, what is happening is marketing becomes it's probably somewhere I was reading, marketing becomes the second biggest consumer of IT after the IT department.
Right.
So we will use so many more tools and so many more things that are in this thing, whatever. Now, will it take our jobs? Who will take a job? If she's on AI, she's trained on AI, she will take my job. if I sit tight and in a cocoon saying, oh, no, everything is fine.
Any role.
So anybody who's, like my good friend says, people with AI skills will take your job. AI by itself is not a robo come to take your job.
Correct.
AI is not like bhoot kuch nahi hai. It is people who are trained on, and right? It is, right? So therefore, we have no choice. We have to figure out what is the best for us. And depending on the maturity of the company, maturity of our own organizations, maturity of what we want to do, investments on, and life cycles, whatever, right? So, tectonic shifts. I'm saying the blink of an eye, 2024, I'm saying life will change very dramatically with the end of 20. Maybe if we all meet again, maybe you can record this and we can play it again. We do this, whatever set of people meeting today, we can meet again end of 2024. I'm sure we can talk about the changes that have happened in the stuff that we're doing, right? Sure. So, therefore, my point is...
embrace it.
I think we need to be, as CMOs, as head of the function, I think we need to be more intelligent about it. We need to be intelligent about it, as well as at the same time, we need to be very genuine about it, right? It is definitely very helpful. So it is inevitable. We have to embrace it. Yeah. But the rules need to be set now.
Exactly.
Yeah. It cannot be day after tomorrow, because it's already, for example, so much so that content, right? Suddenly, everyone has become a blogger on LinkedIn.
Everybody,
right? And that too, like not like a single paragraph or two paragraphs.
It's like runs to
cut paste, ChatGPT cut paste,
whatever, right?
Yes.
So and I think some of those things, for example, we have already been doing few experiments which we keep on doing. So at least what we have done in our organization and in my team, it's very clear there are certain projects which we have. We are very clearly working on them, how they are going to help us from an overall objectives point of view, and then which are the team members need to get deeper into it, because it's not AI which is going to take your job. Yeah. It is people with that knowledge, right? So, and that's why I said we need to be intelligent and genuine about it, right? Because set the manual now. Because content, I mean, now earlier they used to be just one person who used to see it and then it used to come to me. Yeah. Now I made sure that it actually goes through 2-3 people, so that if there is something which is played,
not authentic.
I mean, I cannot. None of us can afford a plagiarism, lawsuit right now. I mean,
but that's why the responsible AI
comes in,
which is where organizations are actually putting those frameworks together.
Set the framework. Each one of us will actually have a very different way of looking at it, but the framework needs to be set by us, because like Jaggi said, marketing is going to be the second biggest beneficiary of this, and we will be spending a lot more.
I'm sure in your checkered career of so many years, when you meet with a failure, a marketing campaign not working in your favor, question is it always fair that is sales the only metrics to gauge whether a marketing campaign has succeeded or not? Given the fact that a lot of you spoke about data-driven marketing programs, there are so many scenarios that I can think of where the marketing campaign was watertight, but fundamentally that it didn't work. How do you deal with that? How have you seen that happen in your careers? Not specifically call out the time.
It happens. Yeah, I mean, it's a learning.
The
first thing that happens.
It says the only measure. What are the measures to check whether your marketing campaign has succeeded or not?
Even before that, right? So even before that, typically, if you don't have the right metrics at the beginning of what you agree, right? That is the problem. So you don't agree on what should be the criteria for success, or what is the metrics for success, and therefore you measure something else and you find failure. Whatever. So I think as marketers, one of the first principles effort is to really sit with sales and figure out how will you measure me on this? And there's usually not one metric that you want to measure. You want to measure a few of them, right? You may fail on a few, but at least there's some impact. It's not all gone down the drain. But then, yeah, there will be failures. There could be, while this is the story as to how you want to measure what you want to measure, but in spite of that, there will be failures. There could be effort that is not giving the right output or whatever. But then I think we all learn and pick up.
So
just pick it up
next
time. Right?
So I think it's not just the output metric. You also need to define the input metric.
Yeah.
Very clearly, because like it said, it's not just, for example, yes, I was talking about numbers, right? But that and rest of a lot of stuff which happens in the background, right? And that's why it's very important that you need to set input metric and output metric. So even if the inputs has been great, right, and output was not what you expected, you exactly know where to look at. If the input has not been great, you know it that, okay, you know what, when you set these at the beginning, you didn't go as per the plan, but you still were able to, yeah. So then you will get clear answers very clearly. And I think this is something which I have no shame in accepting it. This is something which I've learned, especially in the last 2.5, 3 years. Because earlier I used to be like, output. And at the same time, now it's about experimenting fast, need to have agility to fail fast and learn fast, make those changes. And you need to be you and your team need to be extremely agile with that. So that you can do it.
Quickly, I just had one quick one. And I think there's one part we're missing somehow, and I'm sure we've covered it anyway, is that we are the primary custodians of the brand. So the thing is, when you were talking about the outcome and how it measures up, right, there would always be a brand value, a brand elevation, a brand acceleration piece, which is some of the intangibles that Kush was alluding to earlier, which are also integrated as part of the campaign, okay? And the social pulse index and how we're performing around that campaign on the digital platforms as well as, of course, the offline ones, is something we also measure. So it's not only about how much pipeline it has, leads it would eventually generate. Gone are those days. It's more about, so you wouldn't pull the plug on it if it's not performing. You would reinvent it and recalibrate.
A scenario,
just to add to what everybody say, one is like understanding the metrics. I would also say a campaign will not be successful overnight, and just it delivers first time an outcome it doesn't mean. So what I've seen or I've learned through is like the approach. Is it few campaigns? It's very much ahead of the time. So that's why it could have failed. But if it would have happened at the right time, at the right place, it would have given the right success metrics what we all agreed to. So basically the approach and what the path we have taken. So if you have those pieces together, I think the next time just doesn't mean that first time it didn't take off, the second time it will not take off. So try tweaking to see to it that, okay, going back to the sales is not the only measurement, but is it the right mix that we got into it? And is it yielding? So give it some time and then only we can take a call, okay, we tried everything, the approach was right, is it at the right timing, and then we failed.
Yep. Perfect.
Last question is, there are times when you are stuck with a product or service which isn't great, right? Yet, as a marketer, you have to do your duties. How do you manage that?
It totally depends on an MNC versus an Indian, homegrown. So for us, what we've done is, marketing is also part of the NPD, which is New Product Development team, right? Wherein all the due diligence will be done, and before it gets released, all the key stakeholders need to sign off.
Okay.
Right? So we're making sure that there is nothing which goes out just because someone feels that it is a great product and it should go out, right? All the key stakeholders need to be signing up for it, need to make sure that, everyone is aligned and everyone feels that, yes, this product is going to make a difference. So that is how we have made sure that,
I think you rightly said that's a difference between a global MNC and an Indian, because there are many global.
That's why I'm saying that
the mandate does not rest with them.
Absolutely.
If I may just add,
sure.
Being the global MNC, like me, my team, and multiple other teams, we are part of the beta process. Okay. And that's when, the feedback is taken, the usage is taken, patterns are decided, and then it's inputted to finally deliver the product. which has inputs from every facet of the organization, the function, the usage. And I think it just makes it a far more well-rounded thing. Now, are you given the entire leeway to decide completely on the point? May not be. But at least you're impacting and influencing
part of the decision making.
The decision making, and I think that's a very collaborative process. At least in our organization, that's the way it works.
Right.
And just to add to it, it's not only from the cross-function.
More so from India.
More so from India.
Yeah,
because look at the volumes.
Yeah.
See, and the funny thing is that at least in a lot of the engineering and the development
sitting in India.
Yeah,
sitting in
India. And just to add to it, it's not only the cross-functional. So one of what we look at is take even the customer feedback. So these advisories, that's where the forum comes in and gives that feedback, and that is also being taken in. So it's a well-rounded one that comes in, and then it goes out.
Sure.
So it's I mean, net, I don't think, and nowadays most of the B2B product companies are very clear when they are coming out with products, because there is already a 25 odd competition sitting outside, which is a smaller startup, which is going to come and disrupt you in
a jiffy.
Right? So that's why it's really has become important, and I think
I'll give my 2 cents on a startup, right? Because in startup, we are never ready. We're always selling the vision before the product is actually ready.
Right.
So we are always going to get this feedback that this is missing, that is missing, this demo failed, that demo failed. But I think that doesn't really stop us from going to the market, because the vision is what we've built for, and then you go ahead in the market and keep providing that. So I think marketing has to set the strategy, the vision of what the product is going to do in the future. Product will fail in a startup scenario. In large MNCs, they're almost 95% there. They've already done the due diligence. In our case, we are doing it on the fly.
On the fly,
yeah. It's dynamic.
Perfect. This is the end. I mean, I don't have any more. I can think of more, but I'll...
What happened to your rapid fire?
I have. You're waiting for that. Wonderful. So, welcome to the quiz. We have Team A and Team B. We have 9 questions to decide who the winner is going to be. Question number 1. Wonderful. So, you have to answer whether you know it or not. Okay, question number 1 is, again, anybody who has the answer goes for the buzzer. Which movie centers around the rise of McDonald's and the story of Ray Kroc, played by Michael Keaton?
Oh shit, yeah.
I just saw it.
This is the good thing.
No, I'll
tell it. I saw the movie also.
Same here.
Michael Keaton.
You should have asked told us the movie name, and we could have tell you the...
It's the name of the movie you're asking?
I'm asking the name of the movie, yes.
Okay, it starts with...
Pass. Question first.
Okay.
Pass kar diya.
It's The Founder.
Founder.
Yes. Second question. Who was the lead actor in the movie Moneyball, played...
Brad Pitt.
Wonderful.
दोनों साथ में हो गया
ऐसे ही होता है आप बता के वेट करें ना करने का
Okay, I'll decide on this who gets a point.
1-0
Okay, 1 each. Okay.
Yeah, why 1 each? You need to be agile in today's world.
Third question. This is a super easy question. What does GPT stand for in ChatGPT? Tell me, please.
Generative Transformer.
GP.
Pre-trained transformer.
Pre-trained transformer.
So now it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Now it's 1-1, right?
Now it's 1-1.
You got the second.
Quiz master's final decision.
Okay.
1.
Oh, that was just a pep thingy.
Okay. In the 2000 iconic movie, The Pursuit of Happiness.
In the movie.
I'm not asking who's the lead. I'm asking what was Will Smith selling?
Bone density meters.
Brilliant answer.
Wow.
Super. 2-1 lead to Team A. Question number 5. This one is an easy one.
Yeah.
What movie features a character named Samantha, an OS with advanced AI who forms a relationship with a human?
Sorry.
Movie. It's about that IBM. What's it?
Samantha AI.
I'll tell you the lady who did the voiceover. There was Scarlett Johansson.
And
movie name is?
I don't know any movie.
There's that one movie, which is that?
So
I've seen this movie also. I know this movie.
But I don't know.
I've seen.
The Bollywood.
There are 4 women here. I'm giving a cue. There are 4 women here.
Yeah, I'm telling you that IBM
No,
There are 4 women here.
I don't know the
I think you have to give it. I don't think you have the answer, to be honest. It's called Her.
Yes. Okay, then I don't know. Then I was
Yes.
thinking of something.
So it's still 2-1.
How many questions left?
4 more.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Well, 2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
We are 2 and they are
right
1.
now.
2-1.
What iconic film includes a line, "May the force be with you"?
Oh, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Perfect.
Okay.
3-1.
3-1.
Hello,
Okay.
now,
Okay.
I mean, unless you get the 3 questions right, you'll not be even come close.
I know.
Absolutely. 7th question is, I think this should be answered by both the group very quickly. What movie showcases the rivalry between 2 tech giants, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates?
Look at him.
Where are you? Steve Jobs and
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Even if
It has Ashton Kutcher in it.
this is the network.
No,
sorry.
no.
Network नहीं है वो.
दूसरा क्या?
नहीं मेरे को
वो भी इसके मालूम नहीं है. तू बता.
I have seen.
बता.
I just told you the name of the actor also.
Okay, I'll give the answer. It's Pirates of Silicon Valley.
So we're still 3-1.
Still 3-1. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Let them win.
No. But there are 2 more questions.
Let them win.
Okay, yeah, sure.
8th question. What movie revolves around a group of MIT students who use card counting techniques and math?
21.
Brilliant.
4-1.
The last one.
हो गया, जीत गया. It's okay.
Hollywood, you are.
The last one. Okay, you don't have to ring the buzzer. What movie follows the rise and fall of a young stockbroker named Jordan Belfort?
Is this like the money one?
No, that's Moneyball. Moneyball.
I'll tell you, played by
This is
played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Wolf of Wall Street.
I have to give it to Team B.
Yeah.
4-2.
Give it to them.
4-2.
It's a 4-2.
4-2. Yeah, we are okay.
Give it to them.
We're happy.
This is a wrap to the end.
You're too good.
Thank you so much, everyone. Kush, Rebecca, Casey, Arpita, Jaggi, Anindita, Vaishali. Thank you so much for bearing with me for the last hour and a half. It's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us here.
The must say, I mean, can I, if I,
please.
on behalf of everyone, take one sentence. I think since it was not defined and with topics of discussion and tech topics, blah blah. I think this was really one of those friendly banters, which I think we discussed something very interesting by the by. Loved it. Thanks for doing this. I think it's really refreshing, right? I mean,
yes, absolutely.
We did not have the pressure of being answering questions, preparing, taking notes, figuring out what she said. Okay, let me counter that.
And trying to sell our organizations, because at the end of it, sometimes you're also a brand representative.
And we didn't even have to mention the name of our organization.
I had requested Amit. I mean, please don't make this about organization. It is truly about the people.
Yeah.
Some of them whom we've known as friends.
Right.
No, absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amit, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.